Welcome back to Fast Market here on the Schwab Network. It's time for our cash tag segment. For that, let's bring in Landon Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio. Welcome back to the show, Landon.
Thank you, Tom. Good to be here.
All right, so we're talking Coinbase. You know, and that rally that we saw a few months ago to 52-week highs in this stock, I'm sitting there wondering, you know, every time I look at Coinbase, I want to look at Bitcoin to see what the reaction in Bitcoin is. Bitcoin's doing nothing. Coinbase is rallying to the moon. We've pulled back quite a bit from that, but are we seeing a disconnect from maybe the data or the correlation between Coinbase and Bitcoin, or is this, you know, warranted according to your data, the moves that we've seen?
Yeah, I tell you what, it used to be like Coinbase was basically kind of a proxy way to trade Bitcoin, right? I mean, it was, they just went hand in hand, and obviously that's an opportunity and a risk for that company. And I think they've done a really good job of differentiating themselves from, you know, just the market moves in Bitcoin. Obviously, the more that Bitcoin goes up, the more interest there is in crypto, the better for Coinbase. But they're trying to make sure that they're not completely tied to the success of the crypto markets. And, you know, the last quarter they reported a decline in trading activity and revenue, but they also cut expenses by 50% on a year-over-year basis. So they're moving with the times, so to speak. And they're getting subscriptions and services that are now, I think, over 50% of their revenue. So they're diversifying quite a bit. And I think the investors in the street really like that. Of course, again, as I said, Bitcoin going up is only going to help Coinbase. And, you know, when we can look at, you know, Bitcoin, how the mentions have gone, it's up about 28% on a year-over-year basis. It's still very low compared to what it was. And, you know, I think that has to do with, frankly, low volatility, relatively speaking, low volatility in Bitcoin compared to the historical. And it's just kind of hovering between 25 and 30,000. I think once we, you know, break out in either direction, there's going to be a lot more chatter around it. But if it's to the upside, it's definitely going to benefit Coinbase. Here you can see a chart of people, the number of people talking about Bitcoin just on a you know, average basis here, 30-day moving average, and it's up a little bit, but still relatively low, especially when you compare it to late 2021 when things were much hotter. I think it got up to, you know, 68,000 or something around then. So that's important. But then when you also look at, you know, just how Coinbase is doing, obviously the website is very important. How many people are going to Coinbase.com? And, you know, we can see that the actual traffic matching what we heard from them, the traffic is down significantly. So they're trying to figure out a way to extract more value per customer as they wait through their kind of waiting, you know, in a holding pattern in this, I guess you'd call it crypto winter, just waiting for that surge to come back and the interest to come back. But the websites are at a very low pace right now. And, you know, trading activity, revenue, like I said, those are down. So they're trying to do what they can. But I think once we start getting headlines back, sometime in the next year or 2 years, Bitcoin breaks 30,000, maybe goes to 40, 50,000. You're going to have some FOMO setting in. You're going to have people getting back into it. And one of the things that I think you can say pretty safely is that Coinbase has established themselves as the, I guess, the on-ramp, if you will, into cryptocurrency. So people that are either out of it right now, but were in it, or people that are completely new to cryptocurrency view Coinbase as the safe way to get in, and it's the easy way to get in. So that's how they kind of introduce themselves to the world of cryptocurrency. Right now, there's just not enough hyper interest around there to be, you know, extremely bullish on this company. But I do think it's coming. You know, personally, I'm a believer in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, and I think once we see that surge, Coinbase is going to, you know, react as in kind. But also because they're so efficient, they've cut those expenses, they increased the ability to have additional revenue from subscription and services. I think it's just going to be even better. So right now we're kind of waiting, but once it gets there, I'm pretty bullish.
Yeah, Landon, I think the correlation to Bitcoin is still there. It ebbs and flows between strong and weak, but it's still a pretty high correlation. Their numbers for the first 6 months of 2023, 7.9 million transactions per month, down from 9.1 million a year ago. You're right. They are cutting expenses. They're making themselves the best version of themselves, but still, they depend on Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies in general being popular. And I wouldn't say it's Bitcoin's getting less popular. It's plateaued down here at these levels, but you're right. their future is bet on the popularity of cryptocurrencies. And I think the correlation is still there, Tom. Landon?
Yeah, I mean, the correlation's for sure. It's still there. I think, though, that they've done a good job of weakening the correlation as much as possible. I will say, I think the correlation to the upside would probably be stronger than the correlation to the downside, which puts them in a really good position because they've shown the ability to cut expenses. They've shown the ability to increase revenue per customer. That's not trading, not trading-based activity. So I do like that. We've also, when we look at just the overall interest in other areas such as, DeFi. In 2019, that was a $500 million space. Now it's an $80 billion space. So there are things that are going to continue to catch on different segments of cryptocurrency. Coinbase Prime now is sort of a comprehensive wallet that allows you to get into sort of everything and track it all in one place. They've come a long way from when you could just trade, I think, 4 coins several years ago. Now you can do a lot more stuff on Coinbase. They're diversifying. But yes, they need cryptocurrency in general to take off. They need that FOMO coming back. I can remember 2-3 years ago when that's what people talked about. People that weren't even in it, they were asking me about Bitcoin and all the different currencies and what do you think about that one? What do you think about this one? I don't get asked that anymore. And once I start getting asked that, I'm going to put more money into Coinbase. So I think that's what this company needs. I will tell you, LikeFolio has been pretty bullish. We issued a bullish alert in March and another one in May, and we're up 25 and 46% on those, or 40% on those respectively. So we like this company long term, but yeah, it is a bit at the mercy of the cryptocurrency market and just general consumer interest in that as well.
Yeah, they generate 95% of their of its transaction revenue from retail trade, so that's a concern as competition heats up. Now, when you look at happiness levels on this versus some of its competitors, as that competition starts to heat up a little bit, what's that look like, Landon?
Yeah, so they're about 58% right now, which is okay. It's not great. I think one of the weaknesses they have and potential threats is that they've got fairly high fees. I think they're still based on percentage, and you guys know that over time that gets commoditized, and it's going to be, those fees are going to continually be driven down by competition because it's not a difficult thing, technologically speaking. Once you get into that business, once you have it set up, it's extremely high margin on each trade. So as competition comes in, those prices are going to be driven down. That's why, I do praise them for doing all they can to increase revenue from non-trading activities. Smart, but, right now, while they're the leader, if things take off, they're taking in a juicy take on each little trade. But over time, that's just going to slowly work its way down to near zero. It's going to be transaction fees only eventually. So yeah, that's definitely concerning long term. But I do like that they're increasing their subscription revenue and services revenue.
Yeah, Kevin and I have lived through that, the race to zero, as far as markets go. All right, Landon, great stuff, great data as always. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, that's Landon Swan, co-founder at LikeFolio, breaking down Coinbase. Kevin, he broke down, they like it. I had a note from Mizuho, this Dan DeLev that's on the network once in a while. He just really dislikes this company just due to the fact that there's no retail interest right now.